Okay, so I think we could get started and we'll allow others to join in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to yet another Andela Community Technical Workshop session. My name is Feiji. If you haven't met me, I'm the Community Programs Manager, and I'm very happy to be here. Today, we're diving into building scalable websites. But before we jump right into it, feel free to use the chat box, to post comments. And if you have any questions, there's a specific Q&A tab just for questions. Now, the session is being recorded and it will be posted on all our channels on Andela Chat. And so you should look forward to that. So thank you so much for joining. I see some people are trickling in already. So yes, as I said, we're jumping right into building scalable websites. And if you haven't heard of page section driven development, then you are in the right place. So I'd love to introduce our speaker. His name is Vadim. He's a developer advocate at Prismic, and he'll be telling us all about building scalable websites. Welcome, Vadim.
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much. It's nice to be back. It's like, yeah, it's weird because it's not your regular talk, because it's different vibe, different feeling, which is really nice, and I'm really happy to be back. So
yes.
I guess we can start straight away with the talk itself, or should we wait a couple of minutes? I don't know.
I think you could get started
I can get started.
others
All right.
join. So take it away.
First of all, I will share my screen and I will ask a question if you can see it and what exactly you can see. Okay, I saw a thumbs up, so I'm good to start. All right, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to give you a talk. The topic of my talk is building scalable websites with page section power. First of all, let me introduce myself. Some people might know me because I've been working at Andela for a while. But if you don't know me, my name is Vadim Smirnov. I am a developer advocate at Prismic. You can find me on Twitter with handle _VSCodes. If you have any questions or just want to keep in touch, feel free to drop me a DM. I will reply as soon as possible. I live in a city called Gdańsk, which is a really nice, small, cozy city near the sea in Poland. It's a nice area, and just a small piece of information about myself, which might be useful for you. And I would love to start with some backstory. So for me, it all started with web development. I started to code. I was doing a lot of front-end stuff. I didn't really dig the backend. I'm more of a visual person, so I preferred front end. I started back in the jQuery vanilla JavaScript days, and slowly I started to transition to advocacy. This is a cute little avocado, which is usually associated with advocacy on Twitter or any other resources. And I would like to do like a small intro of what I actually do, because advocacy can be like a confusing job for people. So mostly I focus on videos and articles. I do educational content. I rarely do articles. Predominantly, I focus on videos. You can watch those on Prismic YouTube channel and drop a comment if you want me to create a video on some specific topic. I'm always happy to hear that. And I just like doing content because it's fun, it's interesting, it's always creative and never routine-ish. And basically, developer advocate is developers' best friend, because my main goal is to kind of build connections, build that bridge between marketing and development side, and basically connect two sides and make sure that complex things look easy, look understandable, look digestible, and just make products more accessible for people and basically improve developer experience. And just one more piece of information. I really like pizza, but I always struggle to pick one. So what I end up doing, I just get a bunch of different pizzas and just make slices. And this is a good spoiler for this talk. So just keep in mind that image. It might be like aha moment for you later in the talk. But now let's talk about what exactly will be covered in my talk. So first of all, we will discuss the limitations of traditional website development. Then we will transition to page section-driven development, and we will also discuss the benefits of it. I will use PSDD as a short version of that because I'm a lazy person. I don't like typing 4 words when I can type 4 letters. And basically, at the end of the talk, we will cover how to get started with PSDD, what are the tool set, what's the idea behind that, and how you can actually do that straight away. So let's dive in. Let's start with traditional website development. Let's imagine that designers gave you this mockup. It's approved by product team, everybody's happy, and they say like, go build it. We need it now, as soon as possible. And we as front-end developers immediately start to see components. We start to realize like, okay, we can decompose this and that, and we kind of understand the logic we want to implement in this website from the coding perspective. So we start to break things, but there is a problem. We get the data as a single large object on a high level. So we're kind of locked on this large page template. And it's, yeah, like it's still components, but we're kind of locked in a large thing that is kind of not really scalable because it's still a large template. It's not really enjoyable after some time working with it because there's a plenty of stuff going on. It's difficult to control it, and it's difficult to focus on one thing only because you have to be aware of different things and how they work together. And this is like the example of, I mean, it's not exactly how it might look for you, but like eventually you will have like an index page or any other page with page as an object, which you pass as a props, and then you kind of pass data to different components. But still, as you can see, we're locked to one single element, which is page template. And it's not really great. It's not bad either, but let's discuss the layers of different teams and like who is involved in the building process. First of all, designers. They build design systems and page templates. That's basically how they see the end result. They use different components, smaller chunks of designs, and then slowly they start to use that design system to craft pages as templates, as mocks. Then developers, us, we build components and we translate that mocks into code. So we build these large page templates using code. Predominantly we use React, but it could be Angular, whatever, doesn't matter. It's just the code. It's like us translating the design language to the code language. And finally, content managers. So people who actually work with the content for existing pages. They request new pages or request changes for existing pages. And they are basically working with the content side of things and requesting things for developers and designers. And this whole idea of being locked to a large template is really bad when we need to, for example, switch the order of components, switch order of sections, or remove one or add one, because eventually we start to depend on each section depend on each other. And the problem is that sometimes we have animations and different things, and it's so locked on one large template, and it's not really satisfying. And this process becomes really annoying and time consuming, even small changes. So let's really briefly touch on downsides of that approach. All teams are locked in that process. It's not autonomous at all, because somebody's requesting something, designers have to redo that stuff, developers are locked or blocked on the process itself, and it's not really enjoyable because it's all really stressful for every single party. So pages also are reworked as large templates. It's not great because we have to do a lot of repeatable things. Code and task becomes repeatable, and we do not like this process because something could break even for minor changes. Content managers also don't control or are barely involved in that process. It's not satisfying for them because they want to be in control of pages. They want to be in control of content. They don't like requesting things for developers to change something minor like a title of a thing. And they want to basically quickly update things because they see how minor it is and how quickly they can do things, but they can't because all teams are locked in that process. And that's the good moment when we can introduce page section driven development. Basically, if we stop thinking about large templates and start focusing on page section itself, as on this screenshot image, we can close caption. Is everything good? Because I can see weird notifications. I'm sorry for interrupting the talk. I assume it's okay. So yeah, so if we stop locking ourselves on large templates and start thinking about page sections, we're getting more freedom. And basically changing the order of page sections or removing page sections or adding new ones becomes really easy because it's just building blocks. It's like building Lego set. You can just disconnect pieces, add new ones, remove ones, change the color of different things. And it's really intuitive, really easy, and really fast. And this is a different type of data that we can get. So we don't get the whole object for a page level. We can get a specific chunk of data for a single page section or slice or whatever you want to call it. So it's nice because we can get a specific set of data for a specific page section. We are not locked on the page template, large and bulky page template anymore. The collaboration is basically improved. This is really nice. Let me really quickly explain you what's going on behind the scenes. So designers, they design page sections in the same manner as those are built. So the connection, the collaboration between design layer and coding level is better because designers start to understand better the language we speak, and it's easier for both sides to communicate how to deliver the best performance or best results possible. It doesn't require designers to change their workflow completely. They're still building design systems, they're still building page sections, and eventually it looks like a page template, but it's built of building blocks. And it's nice because it's not like a difficult or exhausting onboarding. It's just different mindset. It's a little bit of shift, but pretty much worth it. And designers can communicate better with engineers and content managers. So all of the layers understand each other. We have common language. Nice. Developers, we're still building components. Nothing really changed for us. It's the same React code. It's just different scope and different mindset, and we focus on different things. So we're not entirely switching the focus to something entirely different. We're just moving focus from large templates into something smaller and more granular. We can ship faster and with confidence because we're solving one task at a time. We're not thinking about anything else. We're thinking in isolated scope, and this is nice. And this is how you can try to build things because you're not stressed with other tasks. You're focused on one thing specifically. The reduced amount of small annoying tasks is basically what you get out of the box because you solve one problem at a time. Simple as that. And basically, because of the fact that we are focusing on one thing at a time, we can ship complete well-tested UI sections. And those are well-tested. We don't need to get back into that. We don't care about other sections, and they can work together really smoothly without any issues at all. And last but not least, what content managers get. They can create new pages without engineers. And I will show you later how they can do that. They have full control over the pages in terms of content. And they can modify pages without involving engineers. And this is a good benefit because the autonomy level is a lot higher. And it's a good combination of having a common language, but still every single team can work independently. It feels good. This is an example of the fact that it's been around for a while. You actually saw page section driven development, or the idea, the mindset of it, already for years out there. So this is a page of Tailwind UI. So if you go to Tailwind and check their Tailwind UI components, you can see that they have already page section for years. And this mindset, it's not new. We just need to apply it differently. We just need to bring it to one new next level and make it better, make it more functional for us and for other teams as well. So it's the reasonable question now is like, it's all good and well with AIM, but how do I actually start using it? Like, what's the process? So as I mentioned, I work at a company called Prismic, and this is basically what we do, but the only difference is that we call it not page sections, we call it slices, because it makes sense for us. It's a cool word, and it's kind of the mindset, the logic of it makes sense because you're kind of slicing the large page template into smaller chunks, smaller parts, page sections, whatever you want to call it. So we deliver two main tools, which is Slice Machine, a local development tool to build slices, and Page Builder, an app your content team uses to write content for the website. So this is the screen of the Slice Machine. Basically, you can see a set of slices, a separate page sections that you can use to design and craft pages. This is the screen of the separate slice. So you can see that you have non-repeatable zone and repeatable zone. And basically, you can use different fields to complete this slice as you want it to look. Because sometimes repeatable zone makes sense when you want to have an array of data and you want to repeat and iterate through something to output more complex things. But if you need just like a title, subtitle, and an image text, an image is more than enough for you. And this is the editor itself. I know it looks complex, but no worry not. I will explain everything in a minute. So at the top, we have a bar, which is quite similar to the one you have in the Google Chrome development console. So this is basically to test the responsive design of your slice component, whatever you want to call it. This is an easy way to kind of check if it looks good on any resolution. Beneath that, we have the actual real-time output. So when you develop, when you apply different styles, when you change the logic and code of your slice, you can actually see the real-time output directly in the Slice Machine. So you don't need like any separated window. You don't need a lot of tabs. Work there. It's just for you, for developers. And in the right part, we have the editor mode. This is the part where you can update the title, subtitle, change images, and work with different types of data to understand how it will behave with different content, because we need to check that before shipping it to production just to make sure that it's well tested, it's ready for any kind of content, and content managers are safe to use it the way they want to use it. But let's talk about the code itself, because yeah, visual editor is good, but we want to see the code as well. So this is a Next.js project. If you've never seen that, it's basically the same as React, any React project with some sparkles, some things, really nice, cool things. So if you never tried Next.js, you probably should. It's really cool. If you did, you already know how that looks. It's really straightforward and intuitive to use. The only difference is that we have a slices folder. So this is automatically generated things from the Slice Machine. This is exactly the stuff that you saw visually, but from the coding perspective. So this is cool, but let's actually see the slice, the specific slice we saw. John, if you have a question, I'm happy to answer it. I guess not, or yes. No idea. In any case, you can drop your question in the chat and I will get back to the questions at the end of the talk. So you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and we will communicate. So let's actually see the code of the specific slice. So this is exactly the same thing I showed you on a visual editor. So this is really simple example. Obviously, in the real coding examples, you will have more complex structure, but this is enough for you to get the idea of it. And one more interesting thing that we don't only ship two things, which is Page Builder and Slice Machine. We also ship a lot of coding helpers, like helpers, different React components that can simplify the parsing process, because it could be annoying with images and you want to have well-performing images. Or working with rich text could be really annoying if you want to build something custom. So we ship components because it's nice, it's easy, it's more intuitive for you, and it saves a lot of time. All of the rest, it's pretty much the same way you work with data in any project. So this is just, me pulling an image from the slice data, and then I just pass it to the React components, our React components that we ship. And you just, display that stuff. It works out of the box. You don't need to do anything additional, but if you want to customize it in any way, you can go to the documentation. There is well-written docs for every component, so you can figure out how to use it and work with it. And this is, yeah, I would like to come back to this data because it really, the whole idea behind this talk, because we're not locked on one large object of data. We have a specific data for a slice. The idea is to work in isolated scope and just to have a relief that we are not locked in a large template and we can deliver building blocks that we're confident with, we're feeling confident with. And one more thing that we're generating besides slices is the index file is basically re-export file. I guess you're familiar with it. If not, this is basically re-exporting every single slice that you have or React component from a single file just to simplify the export process. We generate that for you. You don't have to worry about that too much. Now let's transition to the page component. So this is basically the index page in Next.js architecture, the page router architecture. And just for the context, Prismic and any other tool that promotes page section driven development, they support app router, which is a recent thing with Next.js 13. And as you can see, we also ship Slice Zone. And just to briefly mention what Slice Zone is a really fancy for loop that helps you to just pass the components, which is basically the automatically re-exported file I showed you a couple of slides before. And you just pass it to a Slice Zone component, and it automatically iterates through it, and it's smart enough to figure out the order so the page looks complete and fully functional. So let's do a really quick recap. So slices are components, but on a page section level. So it's nothing new for us. It's like, yeah, it's still React code. We just need to think a bit differently and switch our focus from something large to something more granular. So you have also flexibility to use your favorite tools. You're not limited from using any styling solution. It's React code. Just use Tailwind, use whatever you want. It's flexible enough to implement anything you want or your client wants you to implement. Isolated scope makes it easier to create slices. That's the idea I truly believe in, because I feel like isolated scope helps a lot. It just feels very satisfying to focus on one thing only and don't worry about how it will work and collab with different components and different things. It's just very satisfying to solve one task, move to another one. And one more thing I would like to mention is that we give you mocks, because I really don't like working with mocks or looking for right mocks just to test different edge cases. And yeah, Prismic just has it. And different tools that promote page section driven development also have it. So usually you get mocks with tools similar to Prismic, which is really satisfying because you save a lot of time and you don't have to look for those manually and implement those and then get rid of those. It's only for development part, it's gone for the production. And one more feature you'll love is type generation. Types generation is for both TypeScript and JavaScript. And yeah, like no matter which project you have, either JavaScript or TypeScript, you get access to types. You can read more about that because I believe that types generation deserve a separated talk, like a small talk, just to understand what's the value and how to use it. But you can go to the documentation and see what types generation is and how to get the most value out of that in JavaScript and TypeScript projects. That's good. That's engineering stuff. But now let's talk about the page builder, the part for content teams, and just basically how we can actually see that autonomy in action. So how they don't depend on developers and why is it actually useful for us as an engineers, because we're not stressed and we don't have to get back to tasks that we don't really like because it's like minor things that take a lot of time. This is a video of really simple process of like adding, updating, or adding things. So basically, imagine this is a home page. There is a bunch of slices. There is an order. You can just go to any place, basically click plus icon. You can scroll through existing slices and pick one, fill the data. And yeah, you just have it. You just have it really intuitively and really fast. And accounting teams have really user-friendly interface, and they don't really need developers to design, update, or change pages, which is really satisfying. And it's good for us and for designers as well, because they ship their part of job. We as engineers shipped our part of job, and everybody's happy. But this is just the beginning, because we're actually been working on a really cool thing, which is an updated page builder, which is coming soon. You can go to prismic.io and you can sign it up. And I can probably later on provide a specific link for Andela people, just because we want you to use it, because it's really cool and maybe you're going to like it. So I'll keep it communicated with you folks, but we might generate a specific link so you can get it faster. And this is a quick look of how the new page builder is going to look. So the UI is definitely improved. It's definitely more intuitive and more functional. And you get the same experience. Your content managers are able to design pages without developers and work with content without any interruptions and any blockers in any case. So yeah, go sign up, go check it out if you want to. If you don't, that's totally fine. That's up to you, but go check it out and try to play with it. You can play with the old version already. If you want a new one, you can sign up and try it out. So this is a really quick recap about Page Builder. So the UI of the Page Builder is really simple. It's really intuitive and really nice, because you don't have to worry about a lot of panels. Like and the same problem with like analytics or whatever, you can see that the UI is quite often really difficult and complex. And here we just ship in what do you need and what do you have to care about. So content managers can change things without developers, which is great, because we ship well-tested things and we're not really depending on this. We're not really dependent. We don't really depend on this process, and we're not locking content managers in this workflow with us. Creation of new pages without developers is definitely a benefit, because usually the flow is that if you want to deliver a new page, you have to manually build those. With Next.js and the power of Prismic, you can actually just build a dynamic URL, which is square brackets. Usually you can use like square brackets and you can generate dynamic pages in Next.js. And with that functionality, with combination of with Prismic, you can create new pages without developers. And this is a good benefit that you can ship to your clients. You can also have previews, because that's handy. You don't want to ship something to production straight away. You want to play around with it, test it, and see if you like it or not. Maybe you will discover some bugs. So previews are nice to kind of like make sure that you have an environment to play around with. And many more things, because it's yeah, like the list of features is really big. So you just have to kind of explore it and see what's the useful things for you, because something that might be cool for me, you might have different lists, and this is totally fine. Go play around with tools and figure out why do you like those and why do you find those useful. We also give you starters, which are up to date. You can just play around with it and get like a complete functional projects, and you can see slices being implemented already. And by the way, we're taking care of this stuff being updated and up to date, which is Next.js 13, not earlier, sorry. So we have different versions of these starters, like for example, block starter, multi-language, because internationalization is a quite popular topic, and just multi-page starter, because yeah, you just want to see it in action. And sometimes starters are really nice to see tool and see if you like it or not in a real world example, not just some kind of documentation, because documentation doesn't show you how the end result will look, and starter just helps you to understand like, okay, I can work with it, or nah, that's not for me, that's too complex, too annoying, I don't like it. And in my opinion, that's awesome, that's just great. And I just want to stress out one thing, that it's just not a marketing talk. This is more about the idea itself, because Prismic is one of the tools that deliver solution and the tool set for page section driven development. A lot of different companies do that, and just go try Prismic. You might like it, you might not, and you might find something else. But the idea itself, the concept itself is really nice, and you should try it out just to see if it's something that feels nice to you, because it's a new way of developing websites and maybe it's for you. And now let's go to the conclusion and discuss what we talked about. So the traditional development. So it's long and exhausting process. It's long and exhausting because we lock ourselves on large page templates. We have one large object of data, and it's not really satisfying because every single team depends on each other, and it feels really annoying, frustrating, and we're not performing the way we want to perform, and we totally understand that we can. And it's not the problems of the team, it's the problems of the mindset and the idea of the workflow itself. And we discussed PSDD, which is a concept that you're familiar with already from engineer perspective, just React components, nothing too different, just a switch of focus. For designers, same stuff, not a lot of changes, pretty much straightforward. You can pick it up quite easily and quite fast. For content managers, it's just a lot of benefits out of the box. So nothing changes for them. They just get a lot of features and a lot of cool things because they're just have more opportunities to work with. It's natural also for developers, as I mentioned, because it's just so fun to focus on one thing at a time, make sure you deliver well-polished, cool result, and move to the next task. And improved teamwork, yeah, as I said before, this is what you get. All of the teams start to have a common language, and this is really satisfying. And thank you so much. That was a quick talk, I assume, because I was talking a little bit too fast. But if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer those. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Vadim. I know this was traditionally shorter than what we usually have. That was such a great talk. And I would love to apologize to those who joined late. We later discovered that you were having challenges, joining the webinar, but not to worry. We'll be sending out the recording after this talk, and you could watch it right back. I totally enjoyed this. I don't know if anyone has questions about, building scalable websites, especially with Prismic. From what Vadim says, Prismic is there to support you and help you do things faster and better. So I don't know if we have any questions just before we round up. You could use the Q&A tab just below. We'll give it just a minute. I think there's a question on the chat box. Will we be using it in the React Learning section? Okay, so if you're talking about the React Learning program, not for now, but we could, incorporate it at some point. We'll look into it, but no, it's not in the curriculum for that program. Don't know if there are any more questions. Okay, yeah. And Vadim, you mentioned during the talk that you were going to get back to us about, having like, will I say easy access, for Andelans only? Okay.
Because we have a wait list, because it's not like, sorry, the spelling is Prismic, so it's like C at the end, not Prisma, because Prisma is a bit different project, but yeah, it is a project as well, and we quite often mismatch because of this. Could you kind of break it down in simple terms to a newbie web developer? Can you elaborate on that question, please? Because break down what exactly?
So I believe, and Gerald is asking a two-part question. So I believe Gerald is a newbie web developer, and he'll want to know, like in simple terms, maybe Gerald's joined late, I'm not sure, how Prismic fits in building scalable websites. So if you could just do like so Prismic in the web development pipeline, like how does Prismic fit in the web development pipeline?
So Prismic basically, like, imagine your traditional React project. So you just have React components and hard-coded data, like just you hard-code the titles, texts, images, or whatever, or you can just source it from database or any kind of CMS. So Prismic is quite similar to CMS, but we go a bit further. So it's not just CMS, it's also a shift of a mindset. Basically, these slices or page sections, this is a change of mindset because we kind of encourage you to think in smaller scopes and like slice your large pages into smaller chunks. And the Prismic itself, it's a CMS, so it's a source of data, but also a bunch of helpers and a bunch of components that simplify the React code for you. So it's not much different from your regular React project. It's just a CMS with out-of-the-box component, like any component library, if to simplify that.
Yeah. I think Gerald
Is it like fetching data from API? In a way, yes, you can say that. It's a bit more complex than that, but the beauty is that you don't have to worry about that complexity because the tool is actually solving the complexity. For you, yes, it's quite similar to regular API calls, and yeah, that's correct.
Vadim, I have one question though. If people are interested in, checking this out right now, is there a link or where could they go to check it out? You could put it on the chat for everyone.
Yeah, you can just go to prismic.io. Prismic.io, and you can already create like a free account. You don't have to pay for that stuff. Don't worry. Just you can work with the free one and create websites with the old one. The first video that I showed on slides, this is how it looks at the moment. It's still good. It's not bad. We just, improved it. I'm currently working on that, but you can already start using it and building with it. So the link is there, create a free account. And we also have a community. You can find it on the website. So if you have any questions, me or my teammates will help you out. We will guide you through the process of building with it. If you struggle or something feels difficult, complex, we can actually explain it. And I also recommend you to go to the YouTube channel because there is a bunch of videos around Next.js in general and Prismic specific content that helps you to understand the concepts, because we have a bunch of concepts that might not feel intuitive straight away, but these videos actually help you to kind of understand and see like, okay, I can work with it. So go check it out. And if not, just reach out to me. I'll help you out.
Awesome. And I think you've already answered this question from these anonymous attendees. Where can we get good tutorials on Prismic? I believe that's me.
Yeah, good tutorials basically. Well, first of all, the documentation itself, it's built this way. So it's like a book. So you start with getting started guide, and then slowly you introduce more concepts and you start to understand how to completely build that, or just implement something specific like internationalization or navigation bar or something specific. So the documentation is a good thing. And YouTube channel, it's more visual things, more like the documentation presented with the smaller granular videos, so you can try it out. And if you don't like it, or if you can't find the video that fits you, just drop a comment and I'll record it for you.
Awesome. So thank you, Vadim, for that. I don't know if you have any last minute question before we call it a day. We give you 20 minutes back of your time. Okay, one just jumped in. At what point in learning web development would you advise we learn Prismic? What do we need to know before?
Well, in order for you to feel comfortable with Prismic or any other tool, I would recommend you to basically get comfortable with React and Next.js, the engine itself, the JavaScript side of things, because once you get comfortable with React code, and you will understand the benefits you get from Next.js, you will be ready to kind of implement and introduce more tools. Because if you will introduce more tools straight away, it will feel really stressful. But once you're comfortable with the engine itself, Prismic will be like, oh, okay, that's cool. There's just a set of helpers that I can use, and it actually helps me. It doesn't lock me on more complexity. So I would say like start with the React, Next.js, If you struggle, go back to pure JavaScript to understand what JavaScript is and why React is just an API. And then slowly bring more complexity once you're ready.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much, Vadim, for joining us and for sharing. It was really nice to have you here, and we hope to see you again soon. And thanks to everyone who joined this talk. For the questions, if you have more questions for Vadim, I mean, you could post it on chats, on Circle, on Andela chat. We'll send it across to him and he'll be able to support. But look out for the recording towards the end of the week or before the end of the week. We'll share this with you so you could go over all that was discussed here. And you can also visit prismic.io to check it out and let us know what you think. Thank you so much once again for joining this call. We'll see you around on the community channels. All right, have a good day, everyone.
Thank you all. See ya later. Enjoy your day.